friends and I were always trying to get into the supply room. The maintenance guy was always yelling at us, saying to stay out. He said the chemicals were dangerous. We only saw it open once, one late afternoon. He went in and locked it behind him. One night after the pool closed, we got in, but it wasn't chemicals in there. There were candles, bags of salt, some kind of red scratches on the walls. He caught us right as we were leaving. We turned around and he said,
"Now you have to help."
To the kids in the woods. At summer camp, our cabin was the closest one to the woods. So at night you could hear everything, all kinds of bugs and animals. On the second to last night, around 2 a.m., we heard kids laughing in the woods. But there were no cabins nearby. We asked the counselor about it the next morning. He stopped us and said, "Whatever you do, don't laugh back." That night, we heard the laughing again. This time, it was closer. One of the kids in our cabin, Kevin, couldn't help himself. He laughed just once, and everything went silent. No bugs, no wind. But then we heard it. Each of our names, and Kevin's voice coming from the trees.
See you next year.
3. The last ones at the carnival.
One summer, my best friend and I stayed at the carnival until it closed. She was sleeping over and my mom told us to be home by midnight. We had so much fun. My stomach hurt from laughing. We got to do the scrambler 4 times in a row. And by the time we got off, they were closing. The games all went dark and they turned the music off. We ended up being the last ones there. It was kind of creepy how quiet it was. As we were leaving, this kid, maybe 12, came running past us near the tilt-a-whirl. He was out of breath, running with this blue balloon, and yelling, "They're gone. They're gone." My friend and I looked at each other and burst out laughing. She rolled her eyes like, "Little boys are so annoying." The next morning, we went back to the carnival, and the cops were outside the gates. A girl had been found behind the carousel. They said she died sometime before midnight, right around when we left. But that night, we didn't hear anything. Just that kid's voice, in the dark. But I don't think we were supposed to hear him, and I don't think we were supposed to leave.
Four. Would you like some sprinkles?
We started hearing the creepy ice cream truck last summer while we were out catching fireflies. We'd hear it down the block every night, but no one ever saw it stop. One night, we stayed up to see if it would come by our house. My friend didn't even think it was real, but it was. At 12:04, it rolled by, very, very slowly. There were no lights and no driver, just the music. We ran inside to tell my dad, but he just told us to go to bed. The next morning, we found a single ice cream cone on our porch, and next to it, my name, written in sprinkles.
5. The house on Bay Road.
Have you guys heard the story about the house on Bay Road and what happened on July 4th? Back in 1986, the Carvers lived there. And every 4th, they threw a huge party. The kind where everyone knew everyone. And even if you didn't, you still got a burger and a seat on the bluff. That year, the fireworks started at 9:20 p.m. They know for a fact, because Mr. Carver was wearing a watch when he stopped moving. That's when the sky did. Something. Not the fireworks. The sky. One neighbor said it looked like something was behind it, like a shadow moving under paper. And that's when people started freezing. Not fainting, not falling, just stopping. All of them staring at the ocean. A few people ran, terrified, and made it back to Route 6. But the sky stayed that color until morning. When the cops showed up, There was no sign of the carvers, or the guests, or the food. Just 12 chairs in the grass facing the ocean. The house has been empty ever since, but people say every 4th, the porch swing moves. They say if you're near it at 9:20 p.m., you'll freeze. Just like the rest of them.
6. Don's chair.
When I was a kid, there was this old guy named Don who lived a mile from the beach. And every night, he'd drag this wooden chair down to the shore, always to the same spot. He'd sit there for hours, sideways for some reason, just listening to the ocean like it was talking to him or something. Sometimes he'd leave the chair overnight, and no one ever touched it. People just sort of knew it was kind of sweet. That was Don's chair. I'd totally forgotten about it until last weekend. I was home from college. I had a lot on my mind. A walk by the water always helps me. I went way down past the docks. The beach was empty down there. And there was the chair. Same angle as always. So Don could listen to the ocean. At breakfast the next morning, I told my mom, I saw Don's chair on the beach last night. I forgot about him. I was happy to see it. My mom almost went white. She looked at me and said, "Honey, don't you remember? Don's house burned down 2 years ago. The cops said there was nothing left."
Have a nice summer.